overwhelming day for me. Try not to get emotional, especially with the Marines here. You know, I had a speech all prepared, practiced it for months, and then we had this storm coming, and everything got moved to today. And this day, for my retirement ceremony, means more to me than what would have taken place on Sunday. And that's because yesterday was at about 1500 that we found out that UTA was canceled. My leadership, Colonel Stauffer, Colonel Beefman, Major Person, called me in the office and said, we're gonna make this retirement happen regardless. And I said, well, no. I said, it's too much. There's too much going on. There's people to contact about drill, and you have all these generals coming in. I said, it's just not a good time. And they said, no, we're going to make it happen. And they did. And they rallied around. All the squadron members got together, and everybody was just going nuts yesterday, trying to make sure that this ceremony happened today. And it's very important for me, because I want to leave, but I want to leave by being able to say goodbye to everybody. But I didn't want to just leave and not have a ceremony to do that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that for me. I'd like to thank Colonel Jenkins for being here, Colonel Curran, all group commanders, squadron commanders, Chief Master Sergeant Wilcox, chiefs, even Chief Smith. My fellow first sergeant. As you know, a lot of people couldn't make it here today because of the whole storm that happened. So, but I'd also like to thank all members of the 916th. I want to say a special thank you to Colonel Stauffer for filling in at the last minute to preside over my retirement. I really appreciate that, sir. It was an honor.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank Colonel Beefman, my squadron commander, and Major Person, our director of operations, for their guidance and leadership. But more importantly, I want to thank them for teaching me that all the answers to the MICT questions can be found in a bottle of Crown Royal. I want to thank, I don't care, I'm retiring, y'all are going to be in trouble now. I want to thank all members of Rolling Thunder that were able to attend. I want to thank my boss for my civilian job, Chris Branham, and his wife Sherry for being here. I'll have you know that Chris is a retired Marine, and I work with a lot of other retired Marines. And you want to talk about being given a hard time for being in the Air Force? And I would come to drill, you'd be like, oh, so it's drill this weekend, so is it going to be tennis or volleyball? And when you file your VA claim, is it going to be for tennis elbow? Even when I worked at the Wilmington Police Department, one of the lieutenants there asked me if the Air Force does their basic training online. That has to be the best one I've heard yet. But even as a hard time as people give us, you know, I know they respect it and admire what we do. I want to thank my brother-in-law Gary for attending. I want to thank my mom and dad. I want to thank my dad for convincing me to join the Air Force in the first place. I want to thank my mom for throwing a huge party for me when I graduated from tech school many years ago. And that was wonderful, Mom. I'll always remember that. I don't know if you remember it, but...
No, I don't.
I want to thank my sisters for always supporting me, watching my kids, whether I was deployed or TDY or at some type of school.
Changing diapers.
I want to thank my daughter Courtney for all the times that I missed a lot of her high school events, you know, soccer or piano recitals. And as a matter of fact, Courtney, if you'll come up here for just a second. So, for the past 10 years, I have missed Courtney's birthday, okay? And I find it ironic that when we had to reschedule my retirement, which is, of course, for today, it's also her birthday. So, I know the Marines are going to pick on me for singing happy birthday at a retirement ceremony, but if you would indulge me and join me, singing happy birthday to Courtney. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Courtney. Happy birthday to you. Okay. Oh. And last but not least, I want to thank my husband, Ray. He's always been there for me, and I'll have you know that he retired in 1993. So you want to talk about old, Colonel Stout?
It's your retirement.
So that's the last time he wore the uniform until today. He shaved off his beard, trimmed his mustache, got a haircut, lost like 30 pounds, I think. Makes me sick. And he bought a whole new uniform. And you know those uniforms can be very expensive. So he did all that for me just for this day. Thank you. And being the Marine that he is, when I would have drill weekend, he would get up in the morning with me and make sure I had everything to go. And he'd get on me for not having a checklist. And I was like, oh, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. Well, one morning, I was like 10 minutes away from the house, and he called me and he said, hey, do you need the shirts that's on the back of the door? And it was my ABU shirt. So I had to turn around and get the rest of my uniform. So I guess you were right, honey.
Still a senior enlisted advisor.
You wait till we get home. So, and then when I would come home from drill, he'd have dinner ready, he'd have the house clean, and he'd always have a glass of wine waiting for me.
Yep.
So thank you, especially for the glass of wine. And I'll tell you one more thing, and then I know everybody is hungry and probably ready to go home. But I've always known that I wanted to join the Air Force ever since I was a little girl. Because when we were stationed at Camp Lejeune, my dad would wake us up to the music of the Marine hymn and marching band music. And us 5 girls would run out in the living room in our pajamas, and we'd be marching around like we were little Marines.
The trash brigade.
So when I grew up, I told my dad I wanted to join, and he said, well, join the Air Force. He said, because they treat you better and their tents are air conditioned. So I joined, moved around, ended up back here in North Carolina, and I met my husband in 2006. And in our many talks, we both found out that we'd been deployed to Saudi Arabia at different times.
Oh.
And so one day we were on my mom's back porch, and I was complaining about the flies. And Ray said, oh, remember how bad they were in Saudi Arabia? I said, yeah, they were terrible at the pool. It's the true story. And he said, the pool? And I said, yeah, they were all over my cheeseburger. And he said, cheeseburger? He said, we were living in tents, eating MREs, and you're complaining about flies on your cheeseburger while you sat poolside? I love telling that story. So, Dad, I know my dad hates hearing this, but you were right. So thank you for convincing me to join the Air Force.
I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Dad. So I want to thank everybody for coming. This isn't an easy day for me, but I realized after being depressed and moving around for a few months about having to leave the Air Force that I was looking at it all wrong, that I need to be grateful because not everybody gets to serve, not everybody gets that sense of purpose and fulfillment, and I have definitely had that with the military. So thank you for coming.